Hey guys, today I'm going to be telling you how to work with the triggers, these things right here. So, like, the triggers, if you don't know what a trigger does, it could, like, disable a barrier, enable a barrier, it could start a storm, it could do lots of that stuff. So, I'm going to show you everything you could do with it, kind of. Not everything, but just, I have an example over here, but I'm going to just show you the settings first and tell you what it means, kind of. So on team, like if you put on team 10, only people on that team can enable it or activate it. I'm going to just do any, by the way. Triggered by player, you could do whatever you want. If like a person runs over it, they'll activate if it says on. So I'm gonna keep it on. Triggered by damage, if something damages it, it'll activate. I'm gonna say off, like the default settings. I'm gonna triggered by items, like a big pot, a big potion like drops on it. It'll be triggered if it was on, but I'm keeping it off. Triggered by vehicles, if a vehicle drives over it. Triggered by sequencers, if a sequencer hits it, it'll activate. Make sure, if you're doing the example I'm going to show you, keep this on. And activate on game phase. So all of these is like, on game, none is just, it'll never activate unless if it gets hit by one of these items that says on. Or unless if it's on game start, it'll activate like right at the beginning of the game. Warm up, which is, I think, like the beginning of the game kind of, and pre-game. So times can trigger infinite. You could do 1 or 2 if it's like if you're doing a sequencer with a loop, and you don't want it to trigger that, like, you want it to trigger 2 times, only put it 2. So, times can trigger infinite. Transmit every X triggers, just keep that 1. I'm not really gonna explain it. Just keep that 1. Delay, if you want, like, if the sequencer hits it, like, if the sequencer hits it right here, it's gonna, and your delay is at 10 seconds. Right when it hits it, it'll start down a countdown from 10 seconds, and then it'll activate or be triggered. A delay. Reset delay is like once it gets hit, and like if you have a sequencer that's looping, that's the reset delay. Like this is how many seconds. So yeah. Now, trigger sound is just the noise it makes when it gets triggered. You could disable it or enable it. Trigger VFX, just keep that enabled. Visible in game, you could decide whichever one you want. Receive damage when invisible. So it's gonna be, if it's invisible, then like I think there's a setting that makes it invisible. Is there? I actually don't think there is. So, where is it? Enable on, where is it? Oh, here. I'm just gonna say do not take damage because I don't want to take damage at all. But if you want it to be possible to take damage, just push take damage. Enabled on game starts. Disable. Wait, no, just keep enable on. Or you could, yeah, just enable. Just keep enabled. Enabled, because enable means that like if the sequencer hits it, it'll be triggered if it's enabled, but if it is disabled, then something needs to enable it, and then it could get triggered. So enable and receiving, keep this on unless if you have like a channel, by the way. Enable when receiving from no channel, like that means from the from the last video, I showed you how to do channels. So, well, not really. I showed you how to. I just like a little part in the last video I made. I showed you how to do it. If this video gets 10 likes, I'll show you how to make one. Yeah, I'm joking. That's not gonna happen. Okay. So enable when receiving from no channel. I'm gonna keep that no channel because it's already enabled on game start. Disable when receiving from no channel. If you want to disable at any moment, then yeah, you have to use the channel. Reset times triggered when receiving from. So this is how many times it could be triggered. I chose infinite, so it doesn't matter. But if you want it to reset, if you chose like 3 times it could trigger, then, and if you want it to reset, you have to do a channel, which is that, which is channel 1 or something. Trigger when receiving from no channel. When triggered transmit on. So this is the important part down here. So when it says trigger when trigger transmit on any channel, and then when it gets triggered, it'll, like, I'm gonna show you actually. So over here, no, I'm gonna actually go this one. So over here, if I go all the way down on a barrier, when it says disable when receiving from channel 1, and this one is saying channel 1, then, and when it gets triggered, it will disable that barrier. But if it was channel 2, then it won't. So this was just my example trigger kind of thing. So this is my actual thing. This is kind of how to do channels. Kind of. Yeah, this is actually how to do a channel. So when the game starts, it's gonna like, I'm just gonna show you how it works, and then I'll tell you what you need. When the game starts, the golf cart will spawn right there, so I'm gonna delete it. It'll go on the sequencer, and then I'll activate that, and it will disable the center one of these. Because at the bottom it says this one is channel 1, this one says no channel, and this one, it says no channel 2, but I'm just gonna do no channel at all, but I'm gonna change it to channel 2. So this one is only channel 1, so the center is only supposed to disappear when it says disable. So this is what you need. You need and I don't think it needs to be a golf cart, but it just needs to be any vehicle. So put a vehicle down facing, like in a put down 2 floors, 1 sequencer, 1 golf, or 1 vehicle. Put down a pinball kind of thing behind it, so when the game starts, the pinball hits it onto the sequencer, and then when it hits the sequencer, it'll go like this, and then it'll hit the trigger. So and then once it gets triggered, it'll disable one of these. And also, just in case, build around it. Just in case, yeah. You could also change the tempo or the beats per minute, which is, mine's like 110 right now. You could change it like to be slower to faster, just like the most you want. And then, so I'm gonna start the game. So when I start the game, the thing should start going. And now only this one, the center one, disappeared. But I don't think, the center one disappeared. It was already there, but I think I accidentally put the other one on channel 1 too. So that was a mistake. I'm gonna redo it. Is this channel 1? Yeah, this is channel 1. So I'm gonna start it again, and only the center one should disappear this time. So all of them are here right now. Okay, I'm looking. It hits it. It disables it, so you could go past. This would work if you're making like like just a death run, like any kind of map that, like, when you do something, you could open a barrier. Like if you walk on top of it. So yeah. So that's kind of how you do the overall trigger kind of stuff. Comment down below if you have any questions about the triggers that I didn't mention or answer, and bye.